Good afternoon, everybody. It is Wednesday, March 19th, 2025, and I am a logical leftist. Jeff Waldorf here. Uh, you know, it, we have a lot of news to cover today, as usual. As usual. So, what we're going to do is I'm going to give you a breakdown of stories that I'm going to talk about today, and then we're going to get right into it because I am not good at this small talk thing. Okay, I don't know if you noticed that, but I'm pretty bad at it. Okay, it probably has to do with something to do with my ADHD. I have no idea, but nonetheless, I suck at small talk. So let's just do the breakdown here. Elon Musk, not exactly well liked right now, and he cannot seem to figure out why. I have a few ideas. Okay. Then we have, of course, Musk, the recent court ruling against Elon Musk and Doge and the dismantling of USAID. We have a senator that was arrested, a Republican, of course, for soliciting a child. Yeah. So incredibly unsurprising, but also a little ironic. It's one of the same senators that introduced the Trump derangement syndrome bill in Minnesota that I talked about the other day. So that is a hell of a story here. We also have a Trump voter that had his wife detained by ICE. Does he have regret? Hmm, interesting. And then, of course, we have a great town hall. We've got a Republican town hall going off the rails. You're going to love that story. I've got plenty of video for you about that. So, with that said, please like and share the stream if you haven't already. Very important that you do so. It helps out. Another way you can help out is through super chats or signing up to become a member on the channel or a patron, patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf. Right now, I am still working on building up a Patreon following to be able to continue to afford to do the show. So I would like to be independent of having to worry about the YouTube algorithm, okay, and whether or not it is going to shaft me. So I need your help to make that happen so that I don't have to worry about, oh, this video did not do very well. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to afford to buy paper, okay, or ink or whatever. So please help me out with that. Make it so that I don't have to worry so much about chasing the algorithm. Trying to chase that viral video. That hey, it's great when that happens. I love it, but I need some stability here. Okay, and maybe I chose the wrong career for that. Kind of can't undo that now. Okay, a little late on that. So please go to Patreon, sign up, become a channel member, all that stuff. I'm looking to get at least 1,000 patrons at some point, and we're nowhere near there. Okay, I am nowhere near that. So please, patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf. For those of you who have signed up, you can listen. You're probably listening to this, or you could listen to it in an audio podcast form. Yay! So that's kind of cool. Download it to your phone, listen to it when you're on like the treadmill or when you're on a run or something like that. So that's something you could do. Listen to me on the go. It's almost like I'm running right beside you, or maybe behind you. Don't look around. Don't turn around. Don't turn around. I know. I'm a weirdo. I know. But not that much of a weirdo. Anyway, sign up, support the show, and I will be much appreciative of you. All right. Oh, yeah, that said, I do want to read some. I don't have any new patrons, unfortunately. So can't really do that. But I can go to my my YouTube and see if I have some new memberships. Yes, Timothy M. Thank you for joining. Pam, thank you for joining. Appreciate that. That's 2 new members over on our YouTube page. And by the way, if you can't, that's okay, because I know we all pour around here, so I get it. If you can't, don't worry about it. Just remember to like and share. That's one of the best ways that you can do this. Watch the videos, watch all the clips. I put out about 5 videos a day, so if you could check those out, share those out, that also goes a long, long way. All right. With that said, let's dive in. Let's talk about how Elon Musk is not exactly the most popular person around right now. Shocker. Big shocker. Chief Twit Elon Musk is apparently surprised about how much backlash he and his business has received for the attacks that Doge has been doing on the government and on programs that help people out of poverty. And he's going to go and talk to Sean Hannity about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's really come as quite a shock to me that there's this level of really hatred and violence from the left. I always thought the left, or Democrats, were supposed to be the party of empathy, the party of caring, and yet they're burning down cars, they're firebombing dealerships, they're firing bullets into dealerships, they're just smashing up Teslas. Tesla is a peaceful company. We've never done anything harmful. I've never done anything harmful. I've only done productive things. So I think we just have a deranged. There's some kind of mental illness thing going on here, because this doesn't make any sense.
Oh boy. So okay, I absolutely love how he conflates the left with Democrats. Not exactly. Okay. No, you're not quite there. All right. Here's the thing. Yes, on the left we do have empathy. But that empathy does not extend to the most powerful people on the planet who are currently attempting to rip Social Security away from grandma and grandpa while firing thousands of government workers, canceling AIDS medication for poor people and food packets for the world's poorest people, among many other things, cutting the service for the veterans, okay, kicking veterans out of their job, killing their jobs, okay, and look, remember, this is the guy who said that he would end world hunger, okay, if someone could get him a number on how much it would cost. The UN said, okay, well, hey, look, if you donated $6 billion right now, you could save 42 million people in 43 countries from starvation. You could do it literally today. And you know what Elon said? Never mind. No, I don't want to do that. You know what I'm going to do instead? I'm going to buy Twitter for $44 billion. Bring back all the neo-Nazis to the platform. And then use that very same platform to great effect in getting Donald Trump reelected. And since his victory, of course, thanks to an additional $277 million of Musk's money, Trump's administration has targeted LGBTQ people for erasure, literally erasing trans people, non-binary people, and also erasing all the accomplishments of women and minorities in the military. They got rid of the Navajo code talkers. Are you serious? And they're trying to cut healthcare for the poorest to the tune of $880 billion, food stamps by $230 billion, cut off phone service for Social Security, make it harder, making it so much harder for people who, are going to need these benefits to be able to even apply for them. Okay, on Monday, Popular Info released a leaked memo from Trump's management to Social Security workers, detailing how the administration is well aware that the planned cuts to Social Security will dramatically increase demand for office appointments, even as Musk is shutting down offices. making those appointments even harder to secure. The result, according to Trump's own appointees, will be service disruption, delayed processing of payments to retirees. Gee, I wonder why Elon Musk is suddenly so unpopular. Huh, weird. In fact, look, recent polling finds that 51% of Americans now hold a negative view of Elon Musk. Yes. Now, I think that number should be a lot higher, okay? Because the more you learn about him, the worse he becomes. So I'm surprised that it's only at 51%. But I want to talk about, by the way, oh, I thought the Democrats were the party of empathy. I love how he brings that up because recently he talked about how, and this was on Joe Rogan's podcast, he said that empathy is weakness. His exact quote is the fundamental weakness of Western society is empathy. So then why should we have any empathy for you? Look, our tolerance ends at your intolerance. Okay? But I don't understand. I haven't done anything wrong. I've only done productive things. Well, I mean, when you examine that statement, you really get a lot out of it for his worldview. Okay? And he's done productive things, right? With taxpayer money that he got extremely wealthy from. I love how he pretends that there's no personal profit motive in what he's doing. Yeah, there is. Now, I also want to talk about how he's blaming the anger against him on mental illness because he doesn't understand it. He's like, I don't understand. It must be mental illness. No, let me just say that the only mental illness here is Elon Musk and Donald Trump's immense greed. Okay? And yet they are blaming poor people who need the meager benefits that they receive from the government to survive as part of the problem. No. Here's what he said, by the way. It turns out when you take away the money people get fraudulently, there's no evidence of that, by the way, they get very upset. They basically want to kill me because I'm stopping their fraud. Again, no evidence of any fraud. Okay. And they want to hurt Tesla because we're stopping this terrible waste and corruption in the government. I guess they are bad people. Bad people do bad things. Well, you know what? You're right. Bad people do bad things. You just happen to be one of those bad people. Okay? And you were doing a lot of bad things. You are not finding waste and fraud. No, in reality, Elon Musk just hates welfare programs because you believe that anyone who gets it is undeserving. He frames the elderly and retirees as parasites, along with disabled people. His worldview is that if you're one of those, then you're a drain. You're a burden on the system, and that you should die so that more productive people like himself can pay less. That's the reality. People like him, Donald Trump, and Elon Musk are preparing the way to give themselves a massive tax cut to the tune of $4.5 trillion. And they are going to do it off the backs of the poor and the needy. People who have worked their entire lives to retire with some dignity. Not going to happen if Musk gets his way. And by the way, this is basically it's eugenics, okay? And that in his eugenicist views, he measures people's value to society solely in terms of whether or not they can be utilized to make more money for the investor class. Okay? This is what they talk about when they talk about makers and takers. Okay? And so he sees himself, I am a maker. And you people who are poor and disabled, you're the takers, and we got to get rid of you. That's who this guy is. And so, yeah, and no surprise that people are starting to wake up and hate Elon Musk. He represents some of the worst parts of humanity. He is a sociopathic billionaire who wants to be able to make the decision of who should and should not be able to live in this world. And guess what? It's not going to be people who are disabled. It's not going to be people who are elderly or those who are different, gay, trans, etc. At the end of the day, he wants to be kind of a dictator. And he's not a benevolent one. So it's no surprise that the left, the real left, the original Antifa, are working against him. He's the biggest taker of all. Yeah, indeed. He's taken billions of dollars of taxpayer money. He built his businesses off of our backs. And then, again, I'm fine with funding things like, hey, electric cars, all that stuff, if there's going to be a return. And what's that return? From Elon Musk? Nothing. He's personally profiting off of all of this stuff, and he's making life so much harder for the poor and the needy. Okay. Oh, it's disgusting. All right, moving on. Yeah, we've got more Musk. It appears a federal judge has put a stop to Elon Musk's dismantling of U.S. aid. U.S. District Judge Theodore D. Chuang ordered Musk's Department of Government Efficiency to reinstate access to email, payment, security notifications, and other electronic systems for all USAID employees and contractors. All right. So now he also ordered the department to provide written confirmation of compliance to the court within 7 days of his ruling. 68-page ruling found that Musk and Doge likely violated the Constitution in multiple ways in their dismantling of the agency.
Oh no!
Oh, yes. Now, this comes as a result of a lawsuit filed by 26 federal employees and contractors who had sued after Doge began rapidly dismantling U.S. aid in an apparent violation of the Appointments Clause of the Constitution. So, look, remember, Elon Musk is considered to be a special government employee. Okay? He does not have the ability to fire people. That is not something that he can do. Musk has not been appointed to that position or any position by the president and is not a Senate-confirmed government official. Turns out that kind of matters. No, he is a rando advisor and nothing more. He cannot fire people. He cannot unilaterally dismantle government agencies. Period. No matter how much he thinks he can do that, he cannot. Chuang ruled that actions of Musk and Doge harmed not only plaintiffs, but also the public interest because they deprived the public's elected representatives in Congress of their constitutional authority to decide whether, when, and how to close down an agency created by Congress. The judge said in his ruling that he wants to, quote, delay a premature final shutdown of USAID while litigation over Doge's actions is ongoing. So this is just one of the many different lawsuits from, former employees and government unions that is trying to fight against Doge. And I think that's great. We need that. Right now, the courts are essentially the very last guardrail to what Musk and Trump are trying to do to our government. And it's take it right over and turn us into a, basically techno-fascist kleptocracy. Horrible. So now, here's the thing, though, okay? Chuang had ordered Doge to reinstate any current USAID employees' access to email and other systems and block Doge staffers from taking any actions related to USAID without a sign-off from the agency official who has authority. Now, the administration could still shut down USAID. Yeah, but that order has to come from the Trump administration. Administration officials or members of Congress. So, for example, Marco Rubio could do it. Okay. So, all right, well, if they can still shut it down, then what's the problem? Why don't they just do it this way? Well, I will tell you why. And this is my working theory. They don't actually want to do it. Or actually, no, you know what? They do want to do it, but they don't want to deal with the smoke for doing it. Okay? Republicans, of course, absolutely want to gut these agencies. They hate these agencies. They don't want to deal with the political fallout. This is why members of Congress are content with allowing Musk and Doge to usurp their authority. They do not want to be the ones that will be held responsible for these cuts. Okay, this is the ultimate game of trying to pass the buck. These Republicans in Congress and in the Trump administration are sycophants and cowards. All of them. And so, of course, oh, yeah, no, let's leave it to Elon Musk. That's right. And Doge. Because when the people get inevitably angry, they can just point at Elon Musk and say, it wasn't me. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. It was Elon the whole time. But it was you. It was you. You allowed an unelected South African billionaire to do your job because you were too afraid of doing it. And now look. Okay? Here's the thing. Americans are still open up at the idea of clamping down on waste, fraud, and abuse. Hell, if you ask me, I think there's a lot of waste, fraud, and abuse in the Pentagon. So why don't we go audit them? I mean, they can't even pass an audit. So go look at them. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of waste, fraud, and abuse there, but they're not looking in that area. No, they're looking in anything that helps a poor person, anything that helps make someone's life livable, a little bit better, puts food on the table, in children's mouths, okay? That's the stuff they're looking at, which of course, we know there ain't a lot of fraud in that. They have been constantly cutting back and making sure that there is very, very little fraud, okay? And so that's the reality of these welfare programs. No, there's not a rash of fraud. The only thing that they're pointing out is we don't like it that certain people are getting benefits. We don't like that. I wonder who those certain people are.
The Republican Party's racist.
Oh, right. Those people. But here's the thing. One person's waste is another person's lifeline. Okay. And so, look, there's a lot of people that don't agree on what the waste, fraud, and abuse is. Okay. And so that's how he's able, Musk, to go in and say, look at me, I'm fighting waste, fraud, and abuse, and then not be able to show any receipts of any real waste, fraud, and abuse. He's just pointing out programs that Republicans don't like. And it turns out they don't like anything that helps poor people, people in another country. And that's why they've really targeted U.S. aid. Okay, so Doge is operating in very vague territory. And when people realize that it is they that are considered the waste, you know, people who work for the government, essentially, as we've seen in a lot of these FAFO stories, that's when they get mad. They're like, whoa, wait a minute. You got rid of my job? Oh, I'm not the waste. Elon Musk thinks you are. So I do like how this, I do like this ruling, okay? And even though it's temporary, but I like how it seeks to completely derail, these the plans of Congress to try to shift the buck, okay? Because they know it's going to get people mad. They're putting the onus back on appointed members of the Trump administration, as well as members of Congress, who can and will be held accountable for these disastrous cuts. All right. So that's it for the Elon Musk stories, but you're gonna love the next one. Total hypocrisy. Hmm. In what is both an example of deep irony as well as projection, here you have a Minnesota state senator getting arrested for allegedly soliciting a minor for prostitution. The same day that he sponsored a bill that would recognize Trump derangement syndrome as a legitimate mental illness.
Oh no!
Senator Justin Eichhorn was arrested on Monday after the Bloomington Police Department confirmed that they had spoken to a man who believed he had been communicating with a 16-year-old girl. So, in one report it's 16, another report it's 17. So I'm not entirely sure. But nonetheless, technically underage. Uh-oh. A detective then set up a meeting with Eichhorn, reminiscent to, of course, To Catch a Predator. But instead of greeting Chris Hansen, there was just a police officer and some handcuffs. Oops. And let me say, by the way, because it has to be said, not a drag queen. Not a drag queen. Because of course, right? Now, the funny thing is that, again, the same day that he was arrested, Eichhorn sponsored a bill that would declare Trump derangement syndrome a legitimate mental illness. In fact, the syndrome, and you hear this a lot, it's not a real syndrome, by the way, but it is defined as an acute onset of paranoia in otherwise normal persons that is in reaction to the policies and presidencies of President Donald J. Trump. Symptoms may include Trump-induced general hysteria, which produces an inability to distinguish between legitimate policy differences and signs of psychic pathology in President Donald J. Trump's behavior. Okay. Here's the thing. Donald Trump is a rapist. He was found liable for sexually abusing writer E. Jean Carroll. But apparently, if you point that out, you're just suffering from TDS. Oh, okay. Oh, are you saying then that that's just TDS, and E. Jean Carroll should have been happy to be, assaulted? Is that what you're saying? Is that what you're saying? Or maybe the 20-something women who accused Trump of things like a mix of assault and harassment over the years, should they have been happy? Not to mention, of course, Donald Trump's close relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, or his admission that he would walk into the dressing rooms of Miss Universe pageant members that involved, of course, teenage girls in various states of undress. And you know what? Bring it up. It must be the TDS. That's it. Oh, it just must be the TDS, guys. I mean, what's this guy's excuse then? A lot of the articles, by the way, mention that he's married and has children. Okay. Obviously, that doesn't seem to matter to him, and it shouldn't really matter. He allegedly has some predatory instincts towards teen girls. Okay. And that's a bit of a problem. Now, there's, of course, additional hypocrisy here, which should tell you, which should have, I guess, given you a little bit of a reason to think that, oh, this guy might be into, and might be into kids, might be into teen girls, okay, before reading about this, before hearing about his arrest. While in the Senate, Eichhorn sponsored SF 2531. This is a bill that would ban transgender women from women's sports. The bill stipulates that if there's a dispute regarding a student's female sex, the student must present a physician's statement based on internal and external reproductive anatomy. So we're talking about genital inspections here, okay? As well as naturally occurring levels of testosterone and an analysis of the student's chromosomes. Wow. Eichhorn is also a vocal supporter of Riley Gaines, backing both her activism and the bill's invasive requirements as necessary to save women's sports. We got to save the girls' sports from those predatory trans people, as this guy secretly tries to have a rendezvous to have sex with a teenager. Right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, these people. Now, Bloomington Police Chief Booker Hodges said in a statement about this guy, as a 40-year-old man, if you come to the orange jumpsuit district looking to have sex with someone's child, you can expect that we're going to lock you up. Okay. I have always advocated stiffer penalties for these types of offenses. The recent case involving Michael Gillis, who was arrested in Bloomington, is a prime example of why we need stronger penalties. We need our state legislature to take this case and this type of conduct more seriously. Yeah. So now here's the thing. It appears that there's a lot of people focused on the wrong people. Okay. Turns out, no, it's not trans people or drag queens that are coming for your kids. No, in a lot of cases, it's a Republican politician or a member of the clergy. Those are the ones that are coming for your kids. Now, Minnesota, Republicans in Minnesota responded to this, and it's about in the way that you would expect. The Minnesota Senate Republican Caucus released a statement calling on him to resign. We are shocked by these reports, and this alleged conduct demands an immediate resignation. Justin has a difficult road ahead, and he needs to focus on his family. Why are y'all shocked? Why are y'all shocked about this? And by the way, notice how it's like, oh, we've got a lot of empathy for Justin. Now he's got a difficult road ahead with his family. And so he needs to focus on that instead of, embarrassing us by staying in this position. No words of empathy for the victim, alleged victim in this case. No charges of hypocrisy. None at all. Now, the chair of the Republican Party in Minnesota, Alex Plakash, said in a statement on Twitter/X, as Republicans, we hold elected officials to a higher standard. Since when? You guys elected a literal rapist. We got higher standards. Give me a freaking break. Come on, man. Come on.
Really?
No. He continues. While Senator Eichhorn is entitled to due process, which this is true, if only they would, expand that to people who need due process as well, that are getting deported without due process and getting stuffed in, El Salvadorian prisons. They deserve due process as well. But, oh, yes, this guy who's a nunce, alleged nunce, oh, he is entitled to due process, everybody. Entitled. He said the seriousness of these charges warrants his resignation. Public trust and accountability must come first. Look, how many times does this have to happen before people start to realize the Republican Party is just chock full of predators? I mean, that's it. I mean, and of course, the big way of finding it out is how much do they hate trans people? How much projection is there? The more anti-trans a politician is, the more likely that they are either a closeted trans person themselves, a chaser, or a nunce. It's usually one of those three. Or there might be a fourth, in which that would be a grifter that cashes in on anti-trans hysteria. Because there are plenty of those. Riley Gaines is one of them. But like I said, this is not a shocking development. It turns out the only derangement here belongs to this guy. And there you go. Accountability indeed. They do not believe in accountability whatso frickin' ever. Excuse me. All right. Move on here. Trumpgrats? Not so much. Not so much. A Wisconsin voter who voted for President Donald Trump has no regrets, even after ICE arrested his wife. Yes, his undocumented wife. Now, the arrest happened as the couple was returning home from their honeymoon in Puerto Rico. Bradley Bartell, who enthusiastically voted for Donald Trump, cast his ballot for Donald Trump and everything that he stands for, is for, got to get rid of the immigrants, the undocumented, illegal immigrants. Oh, like my wife. Oops. He is sticking by his man after Camila Munoz, a Peruvian citizen who overstayed her visa, was arrested by Immigration and Customs Enforcement. He said in an exclusive statement to Newsweek, quote, "I don't regret my vote. No regret at all, huh? Wow." And so, by the way, he knew she was undocumented and was still like, "I'm going to vote for Donald Trump." And now you're out there saying, well, obviously I voted for him and I don't regret it at all, even though my wife is sitting in a Louisiana ICE facility right now. Oh, okay. Great. Dude, you are going to be so divorced when this is all over. Holy hell. So now, of course, they met back in 2019. Okay. So Munoz arrived in the U.S. on a work study visa. It's fairly normal, right? That expired around the time COVID-19 began. As a result, international travel, of course, came to a standstill. People were staying home, etc. So obviously, it's pretty difficult to go and get all that paperwork done when you're stuck at home. Okay? So I get it. Now, that said, they met while she was technically illegally working in the United States. He gave her his number, put it on a piece of paper, and her first instinct was to throw it away. You know what? Should have stuck with that first instinct. Okay. A few days, however, went by, and apparently they reconnected on Facebook, and they soon ended up developing a pretty serious relationship that led to them getting married. Now, she had been working towards obtaining permanent residency in the United States, but thanks to Donald Trump, who has made it harder, more difficult to get that. But now, since she's sitting in an ICE detention facility, probably not going to happen at all. She has been arrested and is likely going to be deported back to Peru. Speaking with Newsweek, Bartell described the emotional toll of watching his wife being detained. Quote, "It's all been a nightmare, really. Taking things as they come and moving forward. We have an attorney. The system for getting people through seems to be very inefficient, so it's taking longer than it should." You do realize that is by design, right? I mean, Donald Trump and the Republican Party have been making it extremely difficult for people to become citizens, to be able to stay here legally. Unless, of course, you have $5 million lying around for the golden ticket. I mean, and you know why? It's because they hate the promise of America, which is, hey, give us your tired, give us your poor. And Trump's like, no, give us your rich. Well, we got to get, if you got money, then I'll let you in. But you got to give us your rich, man. That's all I care about. If you got money you can give me.
The Republican Party's racist.
I'm just saying. So now, who's going to want to come here when you're trashing everything that actually makes this country great? Remember, this was supposed to be the land of opportunity, where somebody can come here with nothing in their pocket and be able to make it, be able to make a life for themselves. Now, it hasn't been that way for a very long time, thanks, of course, to Republicans, racists, billionaires. Yeah, they're pulling up the ladder. because of that white supremacy. And so these white supremacists are blaming all their problems on immigrants and black people, passing laws against them. Okay. Now, Bartel also has criticized ICE and has called for reform. Oh, look at that. They said ICE never really has any information, it seems. The system needs to be revamped for better processes and communication between the departments. Are you saying that the government could be more efficient? That's weird, because the irony is the Democrats have actually been trying to do things that way. Okay. Yes. Did they want more border judges to try to process claims faster? Yeah. And of course, Republicans continue to block all that stuff because they don't want immigrants in here. And yet this guy voted for the guy who says, I'm going to do the mass deportations. So you know what? You get what you voted for, guys. She's probably going to get sent back to Peru. Now, what are you going to do? Well, he says, well, I might go with her. Quote, it has crossed my mind to move to Peru if she gets deported, but it would be very difficult for my son. Well, you should have thought of that one too. He then, of course, goes on to defend Donald Trump, saying, well, he didn't create the system, but he does have an opportunity to improve it. Hopefully all this attention will bring to light how broken it is. Bro, it has been broken. It's been common knowledge that it's been broken for a very, very long time. And the people that are actually trying to fix it, you said, no, we're not going to vote for that. We're going to vote for the people who want to break it even more. Donald Trump, I got news for you, buddy. Donald Trump is not going to fix things. He does not fix things. He destroys them. He is the destroyer in chief. And he probably just destroyed your marriage. I couldn't imagine somebody staying with a person who is totally fine with getting you kicked out of the country, who agrees with a man that says immigrants like your wife are coming here and poisoning the blood of the country. He meant her. People like her. Oh no, but the criminals is the criminals. They're not going after just the criminals. They're going after everybody. They're doing racial profiling. That's how they're doing it. As I said before, it turns out her instinct to throw his number away in the trash was the right one. And perhaps after her stay at ICE, she might actually start to realize that. My family voted for Trump and one half is immigrants. It's ridiculous. It's amazing. It's very sad to see people repeatedly vote against themselves. Yeah. They just don't understand. All right. Last story here. To leave us off on a little bit of a better note.
Okay, let's talk about this. So your proposal to solve this is to tax the rich.
Republican Representative Mike Flood's town hall was drawn out by a chance of tax the rich. In case you were wondering how GOP town halls are going for the ones who are continuing to have them. Now, Flood, of course, is the latest Republican politician to receive pushback from his constituents. And boy, they did not hold back.
Why is Elon Musk a better person to audit our government for waste, fraud, and abuse than the inspectors general that Donald Trump fired? Because Elon Musk has conflicts of interest out the wazoo. He gets $40 billion a year in federal contracts from the federal government.
I'm having trouble hearing you.
Do you think he would cut that before he would cut our Medicare or our Social Security or our jobs?
I support Elon Musk and the Department of Government Efficiency. gentlemen, here's the deal. Here's the deal. That $36 trillion number is not going away. It is not going away unless we deal with Medicare and Medicaid.
Even if we laid off or fired every single federal worker, we would not come close to dealing with the amount of money that we have to pay to service the debt. None of us want that. These are brutal, cruel cuts that do not seem to be necessary in the manner in which they've been made. But nonetheless, were we to actually move against the entitlements, we would still be dealing with an $800 billion service of the debt. With all the nations that our president has insulted, Japan, China, Great Britain are the major purchasers of that debt service. How will we deal with that, with all the bad will that he has created?
From where I sit, two things have to happen. We have to cut our spending annually. We have to cut our spending, and we have to grow the economy. There's two ways to get out of this mess. We've got to grow the economy, and we've got to cut spending. And when you cut spending, you have to make difficult decisions. And those difficult decisions mean finding government efficiencies. And for that reason, for the first time in decades, we have a president that is cutting spending. And he is looking to find efficiencies. And I support that effort.
I love it. Hook it into my veins. Oh. Now, by the way, this was in a red district in Nebraska. Okay. So this is a +9 Republican district. And I'm not saying that no Democrats showed up. In fact, there was one of them that did. And she was like, by the way, I'm not a paid protester. Okay. Just in case you were wondering, no, I'm not getting paid by this, right? They live here. Okay, they live in those areas, and so wait, well, hold on. Democrats live in red states too. Yes, they do. Now, one of the problems with these areas is they're still outnumbered. Okay, and you have gerrymandering that makes it impossible for Democrats to win in some of these places. And so, I mean, yeah, yet they still will show up to town halls, especially if there are massive cuts to programs that they said they were not going to cut. And that's Medicare and Medicaid. They're trying to currently slash $880 billion out of Medicaid itself, which will cut off healthcare to millions of people, ones who need it the most. As far as Social Security is concerned, Elon Musk has personally called it a Ponzi scheme and has been trying to get rid of offices, to close them down, get rid of phone service so that it makes it more difficult for people to go and be able to collect on the benefits that they have paid into their entire lives. Okay, while his companies, billion-dollar companies, continue to get massive government contracts. They're not going to touch any of that. Oh no, of course not. So that is a massive conflict of interest. But now, and there's so many great moments in this town hall, but I do want to show you part of what I showed you in that first video. And that is what led to people chanting, tax the rich.
Ultimately, where we need to go is to a balanced budget. A balanced budget where we... How can you be against a balanced budget? How can you be against a balanced budget? All right. All right. Okay, let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. So your proposal to solve this is to tax the rich. Let's talk about this, because this is actually a very good point. If you look at President Joe Biden's last State of the Union address, he had a proposal called the millionaire's tax. President Biden proposed a millionaire's tax. And let me tell you, if it was enacted, it would raise $50 billion a year. That's about 200 times less than what we need to address that. So even your proposal to tax the rich fails wholeheartedly. Oh, and also, by the way, that would also hamper our nation's growth. If you're going to ask me...
So, you want to tax the rich? Oh, we've got so much debt. The money would barely cover it. I mean, just from the millionaire's tax. Yeah, and there are also corporate taxes that you could raise. The marginal tax rate. Remember, at one point in this nation, we had a 90% tax on the rich. Okay. Marginal tax rates on the rich, 90%. Okay. But all right, you want to talk about the debt? Oh, to barely cover the debt. Where did that debt come from? Didn't just magically appear. Where did the debt come from? Oh, would you look at that? Oh, the tax cuts for the rich. The Bush tax cuts caused a lot of debt. Then, of course, the Great Recession from Bush crashing the economy in 2008, where we had deregulation in the housing market. Great Recession. Of course, COVID-19 under Trump's administration. Oh, it's weird. It's like we seem to have emergencies during Republican administrations because they botch things. They deregulate so much to the point where the next Democratic president has to come in and spend a whole lot of money to then try to save the economy. Yeah. Now, again, we get to the Trump tax cuts adding to the debt. So would you look at that? Weird. It's not from spending, okay? It's not that we spend too much. We do not have a spending problem in this country. What we have is a low tax problem. We do not tax the rich and corporations. If you want to fix the debt, you have to reverse the tax cuts for the rich. The crowd is absolutely right. Now, the problem, of course, is people like Flood, they are owned wholly by the wealthy donors. The wealthy donors, the owner donors, they do not want their taxes to go up, even though they can easily afford it. Elon Musk, if he was taxed fairly, would still be extremely wealthy if they paid more in taxes. But instead, they would rather become the first trillionaire. That's what Elon Musk is looking for. I got to become a trillionaire because then I could be better than everybody else. That's why they will consistently tell their flunkies in Congress to vote against raising taxes and instead argue that we must cut taxes on the rich. They're going to do a $4.5 trillion tax cut for the richest people in this country. So that's the reality here. Okay. Look, I love how people are getting challenged at these town halls. I love it. I love to see it. Though I wonder at what point Flood and others are going to start following Mike Johnson's advice and hide, like many of the colleagues. Many of his colleagues. That's what Republicans do when they get challenged. They did it before, when these town halls got a little too raucous for them. When real voters actually showed up and started challenging them, their instinct was to run away and hide. And that's what, fortunately, a lot of them are doing and are going to continue to do. The party of fiscal responsibility is anything but that. True. Very, very true. All right. Warren Buffett and Mark Cuban both said that they don't need tax breaks. Both of them even advised the Republicans to lower tax cuts on the wealthy. Yeah, but again, those are the billionaires that they're not going to listen to, because at the whole point of the Republican Party is to be a money funneling scheme to the rich. All right, to funnel money away from the middle class to the extremely already wealthy. That's it. It's a money funneling scheme, and it always has been. And I hope more people will continue to realize that about the Republican Party. I hate how smug Flood is. Indeed. Indeed. That's how most of these people are. All right. I thought the GOP were warriors of free speech. Who thought they were the cowards? I did. I thought they were the cowards. Okay. Anyway, that's all I got for y'all today. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Please like and share if you haven't already. Check out the videos. If you've missed any part of the show and you want to catch up, there's going to be, of course, the replay. It's going to be on YouTube, or just check out the videos, or you can become a patron and get this in a podcast form over at patreon.com/jeffwaldorf. All right. Thank you, everybody. I am Illogical Lefty, and I appreciate you listening, and we will see you back here, the live show, tomorrow. Love you all.